If it involves drag racing, we're talking about it right here on Between the Slicks. From jet trucks to, well, as we will have our guest tonight, Dylan Stott. He will be on later this evening. Let me bring up the thumbnail. Dylan Stott getting it done in that bad fast Ford. Yes, a Ford with a Ford dealership on the side, nonetheless. Getting it done at the Southern Nationals, his first national event win. And I don't know, I'm glad that a Southern boy took home the trophy from the Southern Nationals. I'm glad it worked out that way, him hailing from the great state of North Carolina. And Stan, yes, I believe Dylan is related to Quayne. I think I asked that in the interview once. They're like distant cousins, or maybe they're closer. We'll ask that. We'll get to the bottom of it for sure. Folks, looking forward to having a great show. Talk drag racing right here on Between the Slicks. From, well, the left slick to the right slick, all the slicks, and what is going on in the world of drag racing. Hello, Tom. Hope you're doing well. Folks, let's dive into it. World of drag racing. There was some crossover today, and these are the things that I think we've got to see for drag racing, which in particular to the NHRA, I have felt like for a long time, when you look at the major motorsport brands in the United States of America, it has been like the redheaded stepchild of the motorsports world. And I'm redheaded and a stepchild. I can say that, by the way. So what I mean is you see NASCAR has been way ahead for many years. You see that at one time, IndyCar, especially before the split, it was way ahead of NHRA drag racing. And it just seems that NHRA drag racing has not propelled itself forward and capitalized on the things that it could have capitalized to be really the top echelon of motorsports in the United States of America and be top dog. And I think definitely in a society where it fits so well. It fits so well. I mean, man, people's attention spans are dropping, and people are so dissatisfied with anything of any length. And look at drag racing. The strategy, the speed, the sights, the sounds. It happens quickly. Boom, rack them up once again. You're racing another race. It seems to me that drag racing really sits in a prime spot, but it hasn't done some of the things necessary to get there. Like for a while, it has been a while since we have seen a all-star race in NHRA competition of any shape, form, or fashion. It's been a while since we've seen Top Fuel versus Funny Car. Why haven't we seen that? Why hasn't anyone done Pro Mod versus Pro Stock? Someone let that happen. Why not do those things? Be creative. Bring in some great exhibition racing at the national event. Speaking of national events, Todd chimes in, says he's watching from ZMAX Dragway in Charlotte. And I can tell you our guest, Dylan, later on, he will be coming from ZMAX Dragway. So what you've got, folks, with today, a little bit of crossover. NASCAR comes into the world of drag racing. Bubba Wallace, whether you're a fan or not, very controversial figure in NASCAR, and Daniel Hemrick drives for Joe Gibbs. They were out with the Coletta gang, Sean Langdon and J.R. Todd, and from what I could see, Bubba was actually sitting in the cockpit of the funny car as they warmed it up for him to experience that. I definitely hope that he got the full whiff of nitro. And though the teams did not make full passes, it looks like they did fire up the cars and do a side-by-side burnout while Daniel Hemrick and Bubba Wallace were standing on the starting line to get some experience of what 10,000 horsepower per car is like when it goes by you. And they were astonished. Folks, this is smart, and this is a good thing that the NHRA, all the media individuals involved, NASCAR itself, whatever the involvement was, and whoever got all this worked out with Toyota and Coletta and the teams involved. That's big. Why is it big? Well, you've got rising stars in another sport that gets a lot of viewership. You've got major players with those individuals. Remember, Joe Gibbs, he had involvement in drag racing at one time. His heart is actually with drag racing. You look at his story, dive a little bit into his biography. He's a drag racer at heart. He was drag racing when he was a teenager, and then is like, before I kill myself and make my parents upset, I'm going to do some football, and he gets into the football thing. You never know. Maybe Joe Gibbs makes a return to drag racing one day. That might be a plus for the sport. You've got, well, guess who's involved with Bubba Wallace? Michael Jordan. Who's to say why maybe he could show up at the track. Maybe he could experience drag racing. Maybe he should get some of that exposure. And there's a program that myself and Doug Foley with Foley Lewis Racing, we are working on this. Why not drag racing? We simply ask that question. Why not drag racing? Folks, you look at it. Lately, people like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Pitbull, the running back with the Saints. You have John Henry, the owner of the Boston Red Sox. He's involved with Fenway Racing. I think drag racing ought to get a piece of the pie. And we need to have more of these crossovers, exposing the sport to other individuals that can go to their fan bases, to their Twitter followers, to their Facebook likes and followers and say, wow, this was a spectacular experience. Yeah, I'm over here doing this, but you have got to check it out. You have got to check it out with what's happening with NHRA drag racing. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Stan chimes in. Wally ran it like a mom-pop shop, and when the new people started to run it, NHRA missed the boat. I think that could be accurate. I think there is some hope. I think there's daylight, and it's not a train at the end of the tunnel, and we may be looking at some of our best years ahead. I hope that is the case as long as it is managed right. And James chimes in and says, what's up, MMR? Happy race weekend. Yes, looking forward to being at ZMAX Dragway tomorrow, kicking off the 4-wide nationals there in Charlotte. Looking forward to that. Keep your eye, folks, on Doug Foley. Joe left NHRA because of sheer incompetence of knowing how to interact with Corp America. I don't disagree with that. Granted, he still has a love for drag racing. I hope maybe one day he makes a return to drag racing, but it definitely has to be in the right way. And it's something that's got to happen for the sport. And we need to not only interact with the big names, the high rollers and corporate America, we need to know from them, like, why not drag racing? Tell us why not. What is it that you need? What is it that you're looking for that needs to be provided? Granted, NHRA in particular, using them as example, though PDRA can be very similar to this, Midwest Drag Racing similar, many other drag racing series down to the local level, fan access. Hardly any other motorsport except sports car racing, most of them have an open paddock, has access for the fan like NHRA drag racing. You know, you can't go to a NASCAR race and talk to the winner after they won. It's very hard to do that unless you've got a hard car that's a hot pass with several different other stickers on it and you're getting the victory lane and you can experience that. But you can do that in NHRA drag racing. You can do that as a fan. That is one of the greatest things the NHRA truly does have, is the access and being able to come up close to the driver, crews, car, and with all of that being said, they're coming close to a brand. For example, Justin Ashley, Rise Brewing Company. You might not have ever heard of it. They're moving forward as a brand and growing. They've decided to partner with Justin Ashley and NHRA drag racing. Outside of Justin Ashley's pit, you find Rise Brewing Company, a cooler that shaped like the cans that you can get out of it, and, well, you can experience what it tastes like. And you can see, hey, do I like this product? Do I want more of this product? And you can get connection and move forward with being a consumer, you can get close to the brands. Let's see, Keith. Even having those NASCAR guys and other sports guys and gals come and experience, it shows that drag racing is something we all need to see live. I completely agree. Drag racing, I feel like if you watch drag racing on TV and you've never been, it may not be the greatest experience for you. But if you've been to a drag race and you're watching on TV, it almost causes you to salivate that much more. I got to get back to the track and experience that, see the sights, sounds, smells, and have that interaction. I would say it's really that way for a lot of motorsports. People oftentimes don't understand how great something is until they've seen it in person. And that goes across the board, I really think. I can remember taking friends in high school to the drag strip, and they're like, oh, I got to come back after they experience for the first time. But I also have experiences of taking them to the dirt track and seeing super late models for the first time. And they're like, oh, I got to go back. So definitely, we are a creature that we have to see it to believe it in some cases. Yellow Bullet this weekend, definitely stand. Hey, a lot of drag racing is actually going on this weekend. There's some big bracket races that are happening. I know Motor Mile Dragway up the road in Virginia, they're having the Southern Gear Jammers out. You have a lot of events going on. The Yellow Bullet is definitely one to check out. Jim Halsey. I think that'd be a good pick for that event and kind of the hometown event. Hey, Tommy Franklin, I'm sure he'll be duking it out. Going to be some great door slammer racing there for sure. And folks, keep your eyes out on Yellow Bullet. Stan, he chimes in again, says, if you can, if you are 6 feet tall and blonde, just saying. Well, I definitely think that helps sometimes, but that's not the only people getting access. It does depend on the driver. I think some of the drivers in the NHRA have got to do a better job than what they are doing concerning fan accessibility. But there are examples out there. Kudos to Justin Ashley and Antron Brown. Guys, Antron Brown, let me brag on him a little bit. I don't have a photo or anything, but at the Southern Nationals, he wins. He was clamored with fan after fan after fan. The hospitality next to his pit, it was slammed. People lined up to take photos with him. And he didn't go in and change right off the bat. He's in his fire suit, holding the trophy, getting photos, doing the kissing babies thing. And he goes, changes, come back, signs some more. Thank you, Antron. Thank you to those guys that do that exact thing. That's what we need in NHRA drag racing. I think that's a selling point because it works on your mind, folks. Branding like that works on your mind. Hey, I'm going to go buy tools. Maybe I should get Matco. Antron's Matco. He's a cool dude. That's how it works. Keith chimes in, says, also congrats to Clay Milliken on his NHRA Hall of Fame induction. Can't think of a better all-around drag racing ambassador for us. Yes, definitely a man that should be in that hall. The NHRA. Clay did so much in the NHRA, and I hope that we will see him still have great success in the NHRA. Tom mentions the Southeast Gassers, and they welcome fans to the winner's circle, and they certainly do. Southeast Gassers Association is a great group of racers and they are truly drag racing reenactors. Love what Sega is doing. And yes, you can get to the winner's circle there. You can also do it with NHRA. You can also do it at PDRA. You can also do it at many of the other drag racing bodies. And that is, again, a great selling point. We need some old school drag racing. We need some old school back in drag racing. David, I do not disagree. Matter of fact, I made a post earlier in the week that I had the Southeast Nostalgia Pro Stock Association. They were at Atlanta Dragway. They made some exhibition runs. And it was great to see. One, it was great to see those exhibition runs because as a kid growing up in the early 90s, I was born in 88, I had a VHS of 1986 Diamond P NHRA, and I wore that thing out. just wore that thing out. I also had 88, wore those two VHSs out, pulling for Mark Oswald, Bob Glidden, and wondering if John Force would ever get that win. Not really realizing he already had because I was living in the 90s. Nonetheless, I was enjoying watching those VHSs, but to see the Southeast Nostalgia Pro Stockers at Atlanta and them running down the track, you had a Bob Glidden replica and you had a Bill Orndorff replica, and it was, wow, man, it was great to see. Brought back some memories. Now, I do not think nostalgia solely can lead the way and propel the sport forward. But there are elements of nostalgia that we certainly need to take and remember what made racing great then, because I don't think the formula is that different right now. Those Pro Stockers, guess what? They look like a Thunderbird and they look like a Camaro, and there was no misunderstanding or eyes being deceived by what they were. I think that's key. And also, when you come and look at nostalgia, really the big thing about nostalgia is showmanship. Like, you go to a Southeast Gasser race, the cars are impeccable. The drivers look the part. The officials look the part. The drag strips are set up to look the part. The drag strips themselves play the part. And they race as if they were racing back in the day, the dry hops and the wheel stands, things of that nature. Look, example, I get that we don't have to have dry hops today. But what if an Erica Enders or Greg Anderson, they're already well into the show, last round of qualifying, they give us a dry hop or two? I think that'd be cool. Crowd goes wild. People be talking about that. Oh, did you see that? That was so cool. Others be like, what'd they do? What just happened? Yeah, could you see a dry hop in a modern Pro Stocker? I would love to see it. Hopefully it happens one day, just for the fun of it. Yeah, I can't remember who it was. Someone chime in. They had it was a Dodge. It was a Dodge Pro Stocker. They were running the 51 Cole Trickle Rowdy Burn paint scheme, the mellow yellow paint scheme from Days of Thunder. And they just did this long smoky burnout, and the crowd went wild. We need some showmanship back up in drag racing for sure. So let me very quickly keep mentioning, I was talking NASCAR, but NHRA works too. I'm sorry, man, missed you on that. Sam chimes in, says NHRA needs the new age Ebony and Ivory. Hint, hint. Hey, maybe that can work out. Maybe that can work out there, Sam. Slamming Sam, you guys check him out. Kramer, yes, Derek Kramer in Vegas. Cool, Standard. You got to see it. Yes, I did see the new Mustang coming out for Ford, along with the Camaro and the Camry, and I think it's an improvement. It's not all that I want it to be, but it definitely is an improvement. And why can't we see something like that for the Pro Stock ranks? I think that would be awesome. I talked about this on Competition Plus Power Hour, but I want to mention it here because, folks, I just think this is cool. Greg Anderson mentioning Pro Stock. HendrickCars.com have come on board for this weekend's race at the 4-Wide Nationals there in Concord at ZMAX Dragway. This wrap, this livery, if you will, is a tribute. It's a tribute to Ricky Hendrick, who lost his life in a plane accident many, many years ago. It looks like the stock cars, and it marks something that I definitely hope I'm able to interview and talk to Greg Anderson about. It marks, from what I know, the first time that the name Hendrick is on a Pro Stocker since the mid-'80s. The relationship of Pro Stock and Hendrick goes way back. Rare and Morrison supplied him engines, and he worked with them in the Pro Stock field. You can see it in NHRA and IHRA when the Rare and Morrison cars were red, white, and blue, and then when they were also white, black, and yellow for a brief period. So definitely hope I can catch up with Greg Anderson and kind of get the sense of what I think is rather momentous. David chimes in and says, Mount Motor Pro stock and more factory stock and a few more Hemi Challenge races. Hey, love me some Mount Motor Pro stock, man. And keep in mind, if I remember correctly, the entry list for PDRA Norwalk coming up in about 2-3 weeks, it's almost a 16-car field for the Mountain Motor Pro stockers. That would be the first time in a while that there has been a 16-car field in PDRA and for Mountain Motor Pro stockers. So don't hold me to it. I saw a page. I don't know if that's confirmed, but it was looking really, really good. Folks, let's take a break and let's bring on our guest for tonight, Dylan Stott, and talk to him about picking up his first national event win at the last national event for Atlanta Dragway, the Southern Nationals this year, 2021. We will take a break and we will bring him on. Yes, you can now get Monday Morning Racer swag. Shop SpeedShark.com, Team SpeedShark. They can hook you up with Monday Morning Racer apparel. Not only Monday Morning Racer apparel, we're talking about apparel for Johnny Placino, Camry Caruso, Frankie the Madman Taylor, and more to come soon. Check them out at shopspeedshark.com or at your next race at the Speed Shark trailer. All right, Dylan, can you hear me, man? Uh-oh.
I got you.
All right, now you're unmuted. Sorry, man. Good to have you on.
Gotcha. Glad to be on, man. Glad to be here.
So, let's start here. How are things looking at ZMAX? So, before anyone asks, what was the trip like down? Is it as crazy in your neck of the woods to ZMAX as everybody has made it out to be with the fuel crisis?
Luckily for me, it was not, because diesel's not really hard to come by at the moment. But at the house, gas, non-existent. Can't find it. All the gas stations are out. And honestly, up the road, fuel stops that I stopped at, they're out of gas too. So it's going to be tricky to get here this weekend. It's definitely a crazy time.
Yes, crazy times. I hope it's worked out over the weekend and everything will be good to go and back to normal here soon. So, look, man, let's definitely dive in on the Southern Nationals win. I'm going to bring up the final round. Let's take a look at it from the stands and give me a rundown afterwards of what the day was like.
They're doing all the division races. He's got 800 cubic inches of nitrous. Dylan Stott's got 700 cubic inches and nitrous. Look at the dial. This is bracket racing at 210 miles an hour. Dylan Stott's at 662. He's going to get a head start. Not a big head start, but he's going to get a head start. Of all of the Ford versus Chevy matchups we've seen this weekend, I think this one goes right up there as far as favorites. Big cubic inches, big nitrous, big number, big speed. Only one trophy. Sandy Mullins was the #1 qualifier. They call him the Sand Flea. He's a former champion in the category. And Dylan Stott, big-time player down in this part of the world. The trophy's going to North Carolina. We just haven't figured out which town yet. They're locked and loaded. He finally gets it done. 661, 212. Sandy goes 652. It's a double breakout.
Video's a little laggy, so I didn't get to see it all. But man, I can't even explain the emotion whenever that win light come on. I almost talked myself out of it at first. Go through it, comes on. I'm like, I actually see that right, because I've been there before, and that place owed me a national event win. I think in Top Dragster, I ended up giving it back to Nick Folk a couple of thou one year. So I feel like it owed me one. But definitely, it was a rough day all around. Or rough weekend really, because I had to run Jeremy Jensen round one who's a tough bracket racer out of Tennessee. He does a bunch of 470 stuff. So tough customer. I bracket raced with him in the past. Second round didn't get any easier. I think I had to run Ronald Regal, number 3 in the world from last year. So that's not exactly what you want to see. Round 2, and then round 3 I had to run Alan Firestone. So I got number 2 in the world from last year. So it just keeps getting worse. And in semis I had to run David Tatum, who was a former Super Gas world champ, and then in the finals we've got Sandy Wilkins, who is a Top Sportsman world champ. So they threw the gauntlet at me in Atlanta that weekend. I'm just glad we came out on top. And it was unbelievable to win the last Southern Nationals. Remember, I've been going there since I was 3 years old. I can remember standing on my dad's shoulders, 3, watching John Force and Kenny Bernstein along the fence on the right side. It's awesome to win there. Awesome to win my national event there.
Yeah, man, look, again, congratulations. And, I hadn't been able that whole day to keep up with what was happening with Top Sportsman, going back, helping out Doug Foley and Justin Ashley and all the other things I'm doing at the track these days. And I'm up there. I'm like, you know what? This is the finals at the Southern Nationals, my home national event. I'm like, I'm going to get them on film, and I'm going to take in this moment. And I hear, Wilkins' name get called. I'm like, who? Imagine that. He's in the finals. And then Dylan Stott.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, I know that guy. I've interviewed that guy, and I'm like, come on, Dylan. And you got it done, man. So congratulations to you, your family. And
Thanks.
How big of a discount was it at the dealership the next week? I got to know.
Well, that's a funny story. So I say that I'm like, we're having a big sale, and after I get done, I tell my dad, I'm like, man, I don't know what we're gonna have to sell on. I ain't got no cars left to sell. We are running extremely low on inventory, which is a good thing, I guess. We're selling everything that we're getting, but we can't replace it. Ford's just so far behind at the moment, we cannot get inventory back in there. So the sale was about non-existent, honestly. We didn't have anything to sell.
So, folks, what he's saying is later at a predetermined time, when they have more stock on the lot, there's going to be the race sale. There you go. We've already said it on here in between.
Absolutely. Coupons. Yeah.
Coupons. There you go. Take your Monday morning racer coupon.
I joked with my mom. She actually owns a restaurant in town. I told her, I didn't have any cars, so if somebody buys cars or gets her oil change, whatever, I'm going to send them out there and get a free pizza.
Yes. There you go. That'd be good. Hey, new car and pizza. That sounds like a great combination to me, even though I'm doing keto and not eating pizza right now.
Absolutely.
I'm refraining. So, Dylan, the last time that I had you on camera in this situation, the now kind of defunct Drag Racing TV was going on, and thanks to Brian Prinz, he got that set up to interview you and your dad. But COVID had just hit. Okay, COVID had just hit, and we were all kind of wondering, how long is this going? Well, we were in the midst of a 2-week shutdown that has definitely went longer and longer and longer. So I've got to ask, what has it been like with COVID in business for this long, being a dealership? How have things been there in the community that you're in North Carolina?
Surprisingly, business has been really good. I mean, as far as which, going into this whole deal, I would have never guessed that. But people, we got a small town, kind of a retirement community, but people were bringing their cars in for service. We have been selling cars the whole time. So business has been really good. Very fortunate for what we have done in the pandemic whenever there's a lot of people struggling. Just thankful for the customers that we do have. And stick around with us.
Well, very good. Very good. I know when we did have y'all on camera last time, talked a little bit about some of the, I'll say, community relief efforts. So how did that go, and how did the community respond, and were y'all able to really continue that throughout, even up to this point, possibly?
We're not doing it anymore. It kind of fizzled out. Well, not necessarily, I mean, in a bad way. Just it went really well. We helped a lot of people, needed groceries and stuff. Had a lot of donations. People sending money in. So it definitely helped a lot of people, and it went to some really, really good stuff. Buying people groceries that were out of jobs. Even I think we ended up getting some people hotel rooms that were stuck traveling. So it ended up working out really, really well.
All right, man. Well, look, I have not been to the dealership yet. I've got to get by there. I got to get to the shop. I do want to bring a picture up. Looks like y'all have got a cool rocking place there, and apparently this is a rather recent remodel. Within the last 5 years or so, right?
I think we did the remodel about 4 years ago, but yeah, that's actually just like as they're remodeling it right there. But yeah, that's it. We kind of went for the different look, didn't want the the typical Ford dealership look. It kind of fits in really good in our small town. It looks really good. And honestly, we got a lot of healthy feedback from that. People really love it. Really responded really good to it.
Cool, man. Yeah, good looking place. And what's it like in the world of drag racing right now, being like through and through a Ford guy? You've got a Ford dealership that you've got ownership in. You've got the Ford Mustang that you're racing. I mean, you got Ford on your chest. You are representing the blue oval proudly. So what is it like right now in a day and time for, a Ford guy like myself? It seems like we don't have a lot to cheer for.
No, there's definitely not a lot of us. There's maybe, I can think of possibly 2 or 3 in Top Sportsman in the whole class in the whole country, that run Ford stuff. So there's a few and far between. Luckily Ford's kind of in the factory stock stuff. They got a bunch of stock and super stockers, so I like pulling for those guys. But yeah, it's tough. There's not a lot of us, and it's honestly it's not the smartest thing in the world, because I mean to run a Ford, it is not cost effective compared to you can go buy a Chevrolet motor for maybe half the price of what it costs to run one of these things. So it's not economically smart, but it's good for business. I'm on a Ford dealership. I've got to represent the blue oval, and hopefully that Mustang will sell cars.
Hey, race on Sunday or win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And definitely were able to do that in conjunction.
I'm gonna have to use that.
Yeah, there you go. Definitely in conjunction with the Southern Nationals there. So let's talk about your ride. Let's bring the photo up right here. This beautiful race machine. Talk to me about it. Who's the chassis builder? What year? And what has it been in this? From what I understand, relatively still a new car, because you had the older Mustang. A 67 was it?
It was a 67, yeah. So we built this car probably, I'm going to say 3 years ago. Jerry Haas Race Cars built it out of Fenton, Missouri. They did a fantastic job. This is probably the best race car I've ever owned. It's really, really good. I mean, extremely consistent. And for as fast as we're going, it's not, you don't really see that a whole lot. But Philip Oakley Motorsports built the engine. I've got Adam Lambert doing the from Precision Racing Suspension doing the shocks on it. Honestly, he recently came on board. I wasn't particularly happy with how the car was doing after Gainesville, the national event. So we came back, stripped it down, sent the shocks and struts off to Adam, and didn't actually get a chance to test it. I actually ran I guess it was the divisional race in Valdosta the week before Atlanta. That was my test session, and it looked really good. I was very happy with it. Some minor tweaks for Atlanta, but it was just flat, unreal good in Atlanta. Typically it used to be a little finicky, kind of a small tuning window. Have to change stuff from run to run. In Atlanta, it was tuning window got really big. Very, very few changes, and it was running exactly what I thought it would, which is exactly what you want in Top Sportsman.
Yeah, I would imagine going into ZMAX and the national event that we have upon us this weekend, if you were able to have that stellar of a run and that tuning window at a track that's known for being tricky, Atlanta, going into something as great as ZMAX is, man, the competition better watch out. Stott might double up.
I'm feeling I'm still riding the high from Atlanta, so I'm hoping we can keep it going. But yeah, as good as this racetrack typically is, I'm really excited for this weekend. Like I said, Atlanta is a very, very tricky, or typically in the past a very tricky racetrack. This Southerns it was actually pretty good on Sunday. But yeah, this place, I'm feeling good about it. Which I'm riding high, so car keeps running like it is, and the driver can keep his head in the game. We might be holding another Wally on Sunday.
So talk to me about the 4-wide national event as an individual racing in Top Sportsman. So what's going to be the configuration so the fans know? You all will not be running the 4-wide. You'll be running typical, right?
Yeah, so we run two wide because we're bracket racing. But 4-wide stuff is, if nobody's ever seen that, you really need to come check it out. It is unbelievable. You can imagine 2 of them running at 12,000 horsepower apiece. 4 of them, it feels like you're in an earthquake. I mean, it is ground shaking, just unbelievable. And it's kind of hard to pick up on. You got 4 of them going, but it's awesome. But yeah, for us, it's 2 wide. So same. I don't know what lanes we'll be on yet, but that's how it'll be. We'll be typical, Top Sportsman national event.
Okay, so they in fact keep y'all in the same 2 lanes, whether that's the farthest 2 or the nearest 2. Yeah. They don't go back and forth.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which lanes will be assigned to, but like just say we get assigned to 1 and 2 tomorrow in qualifying, we will stay in 1 and 2 all weekend. And then there'll be some other classes in 3 and 4. That way they spread it out and keep the track in good condition.
All right. 4-wide bracket racing. Yay, nay? Maybe they should do it. What do you think?
Ooh. You talking about some tricky stuff. I can't imagine trying to drive finish line at 4 wide. I'm not against it, but there would definitely be there'd be some mistakes made for sure.
Someone be trying to figure out.
That would be very tricky.
Yeah, someone be trying to figure out how to have the.
I don't even know how you go about that.
They'd be trying to figure out how to have the Wi-Fi camera in the car over in the other lane to see like where they're doing or something.
That's an idea.
Yeah, that would be wild. It definitely would be wild.
The technology nowadays is probably possible.
Dude, it is wild. I mean, we're able to do this very show because of modern technology. And, sometimes being live, there are some hiccups, but nonetheless, here we are. You're in Concord. I'm in Roxborough, and I've had people as far as Canada on the show live, and it looks rather professional with a ticker at the bottom and overlays. 5 years ago, this would have been challenging to do, and here I am. I'm doing it with a mouse, 1 computer, and hosting it. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yep, it is.
So, Top Sportsman, explain to me what it is and why it's so challenging. Like, I see it often in the PDRA, and some of those cats, they just need to ante up and go pro nitrous racing. Like, guys, come on. So, how tough is Top Sportsman?
So, Top Sportsman it's the fastest bracket race there is. I mean, with door cars anyway. I mean, you've got Top Dragster that's pushing 610 all the time, but Top Sportsman's door cars, short wheelbase, not very much visibility. So bracket race, the name of the game is you got to get there first and not break out. There's a lot of finish line driving involved, and then one of these cars is very difficult. You're not, like I said, you're not got a lot of visibility. It's a tricky class to run, and typically you see a lot of I'm going to say people who've been bracket racing for a very long time get into Top Sportsman. But yeah, I don't even know how to explain it as far as driver-wise, I've bracket raced my whole life. Dragsters, that's not really tough. I mean, it is, not saying that it's easy, but in dragsters, you've got visibility. You can see everything out the sides, and these things, and if I'm in the left lane, I have no visibility behind me to the right, nothing. So it's a very tricky class, but that's what draws me to it. I enjoy it because it is challenging. Plus, you're trying to go, me personally, trying to go 650s. So trying to get the car to get on the racetrack along with trying to get it to run the same number is very, very challenging.
So being in Top Sportsman, the background with the bracket racing, big money bracket racing. What's your thoughts on that? The rise in popularity with what almost to some extent seems like drag racing gambling, though I think it's better than going to Vegas, obviously. You got a lot better chances. But big money bracket racing. What's your thoughts on that? And have you participated in any of those events?
Man, I wish I had more time. I actually had a dragster, probably sold it 2 or 3 years ago, I would say. But I used to do a lot of big money bracket racing. One of my buddies went to the Vegas Million, I guess probably 3-4 years ago. Got down to 4 cars in the million. But I've bracket raced my whole life. I just wish I had more time. That's actually the reason that I sold my dragster, because I kind of got a bigger role in the dealership where I didn't have the freedom to leave as much as I was likely to go racing. So I had to pick one or the other. And to be honest, this one doesn't pay as well as big money bracket racing, but it's a lot more fun to drive. So I chose this one.
All right, a lot more fun to drive. Hey, that's important. You got to have some fun while you're out there doing it.
Absolutely.
And in, the competition level in the height of NHRA is definitely tough. What else beyond this year? Obviously, you're at ZMAX for this national event. What else are you looking at? And is it just NHRA? Because I don't think I've seen y'all at PDRA personally, but can we ever see y'all there? What's the plans?
No, I haven't run. I used to run PDRA whenever they first started out, but like that's kind of goes back to the bracket racing thing. I just kind of had to focus on one series, and we sponsor Division II and Top Sportsman, so we decided to stick with that one. But that's really what it boils down to. If I could race every weekend, I probably would be. But business, the dealership pays for all this stuff, so that's what in my free time, or not really free time, but whenever I'm not racing, that's what I've got to be focused on. As far as the rest of this year is kind of up in the air. I know, we got this weekend, and next weekend I'll be back at Atlanta Dragway for the Southeast Division II race. After that, it's kind of up in the air. I normally take the summer months off. I don't like racing when it's hot. So I'll take those probably middle of August. I think I've got another divisional race. I'll hit that one. But kind of map my schedule out. Depends on how we do the next 2 or 3 weeks. See where we're at points wise. Maybe try and save some races to the end of the year. Maybe go out west. Just depends on how the next 2 or 3 weeks go to map out my schedule for the rest of the year.
Dylan, come on, man! You own a Ford dealership and you didn't give yourself the option of air conditioning in that Mustang. Come on!
I wish it did sometimes. I need to, if I can get my guys to do that, I might have to make that happen. I don't know if it's like the extra weight or not.
Yeah, there you go. Don't worry about the extra weight. Have air. Be the only top sportsman with air. There you go. Well, we can do it all at Stott's Ford. We can have air conditioning in a door
Absolutely.
car. So,
yep.
Speaking of the dealership, your involvement, and before coming onto the show, I mentioned a little bit about nostalgia, and some folks, we were talking even a little bit of NASCAR. NASCAR is making a big push right now with the next generation of car to have them appear more closely to their OEM showroom counterpart. Do you think, as a individual as involved as you are in a Ford dealership, that the cars that are on the track, whether it's Trans Am, sports car racing, drag racing, NASCAR, that they look like the car? Is it really that important, or are we far from the days of an actual win on Sunday, sell on Monday?
Me personally, I will always be the guy who wants to see, the cars on the racetrack mirror the cars that are in production. That's honestly the one thing that I do not like about NASCAR is it doesn't matter if it's a Toyota, a Chevrolet, or a Ford. To me, they all look the same except for the stickers on the front. That drives me absolutely insane. So I don't really watch a lot of NASCAR for that reason, even though my grandpa was in NASCAR for 35 years. But I really wish they would get back to that. I think it would help, sell more cars, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. But drag racing the same way. I wish, which luckily now NHRA Pro Stock, we're starting to see more Mustangs come back in it. May not have the Ford motors, but at least we're got the Ford Mustang bodies. I like that. Wish there'd be more of them. But I'm just glad to see some diversity in NHRA Pro Stock. Now we just got to get a Mustang in Pro Mod. I don't think we've got one. That would be pretty cool too.
Right. In I would say the issue in Pro Mod is we do have Alex Laughlin with his Pro Mod, but it's not a modern
That's
Pro
right.
Mod.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it is a Mustang, but you have so many modern Camaros. I want to see a modern Mustang. And if I'm not mistaken, there's only 2 or 3 modern Mustangs out there in the Pro Mod world, one of them being Rob Honeycutt in PDRA with Pro Nitrous.
Yeah.
And then there is one other individual, Culp Lumber, the white Mustang, red trim. I can't remember that guy's name, but I believe he's in Pro Boost.
Kind of screw lower, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
So, and
I know
that's
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
about it. So
yeah, there's not very many at all. There's not. That's what we need to change. That we need to get some more Mustangs running Pro Mod, especially NHRA Pro Mod.
definitely NHRA Pro Mod.
Break up some of those Camaros.
Yes, break up some of those Camaros. We got to see some diversity in the class for sure. Of look, age ranges, but I mean, I definitely think Pro Mod would be a great place for Ford, GM, even Toyota. You already got the one that doesn't look like a Toyota; it's just in stickers out there. I think it's a great place for the OEMs to hang their hat, but we got to have that representation out there for them. I think for them to even be enticed. So right now, the NHRA and Sam Smith, if you're listening, cover your ears. They're in a move not to take drag racing all electric, but to include electric classes or a electric class. You've had Tasca out there in the electrified Cobra Jet, we'll say. Ford obviously is moving electric. They've got the Mach-E. What have y'all seen in sales at the dealership? What's been the response? And what's your thoughts on the electrification of drag racing in particular?
So me personally, I actually like the electric cars. I've been driving one for like probably 2 or 3 weeks. We've got a Mach-E in. Thing's got a lot of torque. They're really impressive for what they are. As far as drag racing, I like it. I'm glad that it's advancing to an electric class. Do I want to run one? No. But I think it's healthy for the sport. We're advancing, coming up with new ways to appeal to different people. But the electric cars are very, very, very impressive. I mean, like super quick, a lot of torque, instant torque, really. So I'm excited to see how that all plays out with the new electric class. But as far as sales, we have I think we've sold 3 Mach-E's to this point, but we're out other than the one that I'm driving. So until we get some more, we are stuck.
Folks, did you hear that? He slipped it in there. He's driving one. Listen to that.
I am.
So what is the Mach-E? Break it down for us, and what do you think of like the layout of the dash and the interior? And does anything feel different about driving electric opposed to the internal combustion engine?
So it's a lot different. It feels like you're driving a golf cart. It's actually got, which is, you can, turn it off, turn it on, whatever, but it's got a one pedal stop mode. So literally, like, you accelerate. As soon as you let off the accelerator pedal, it automatically starts braking. So it's got regenerative braking where it's charging the batteries as you're stopping. It's neat. I like it. A lot of people don't. As far as the interior, it's got a TV screen in the middle. The thing is huge, and you can customize it, do all kinds of different stuff. The way these vehicles are moving forward is unbelievable. I'm talking, this thing is, I think it's 10, 12 inches. It's unreal. But yeah, I really like it. I enjoy driving it. Didn't have to worry about gas this week.
Yeah, no pipeline issues for you. Maybe
No.
one day there might be mass hacking of electric cars. That would be scary. Oh my goodness, that would be
Now that's
wild.
possible. That would
See,
be not
yeah.
good.
See, that's possible, and it
It's
definitely
not good.
would not be good. Definitely would not be good. Well, look, we had an individual earlier before you came on, Stan, I believe it was. He did ask some family questions. So one, Quayne Stott, Southeast Gassers. Y'all are related, like cousins, right? Or is it cousins to your dad? So
We are second cousins. Yeah,
bingo.
we are second cousins.
There we go.
Yep. And
And
I've actually got another cousin that runs in Southeast Gassers, Gabriel Burrell. He is my
yeah,
second or third cousin also.
yeah,
Yep.
Southern Flyer. He's got the Ford Coupe, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
yep.
Or sedan. Excuse me, it's a
He
sedan.
does. Yep.
Yep. Great car. I've had
Yep.
him on the show, and a great looking car. And yeah, it's all decked out and themed out. Really cool piece for sure. So,
Oh yeah.
That connection to the Southeast Gassers. But you mentioned your granddad having involvement in NASCAR and racing. So take us on the journey of Stott's involved in the automobile world, in the dealership side and in the racing side, and how those tracks followed each other.
Okay, so start way back 40 years ago. So my grandpa was in NASCAR. He actually worked for Bud Moore for 35 years. He was a rear tire changer. Back whenever I think they had to carry their own tires and do everything themselves. Then actually, while he was with Bud Moore, they gave him, I think he had the Motorcraft sponsorship or Quality Care at that point. Ford actually came to him and gave him the opportunity, because we had a dealership in our small town that was not doing so well, and they were looking to sell it. So actually, him and one of his brothers bought the dealership. Actually, it'd be 40 years about a month ago. So 40 years ago, they buy the dealership. He stayed in NASCAR. The one brother ran it. Then later on, he ended up wanting out. My grandpa bought him out. So it's just was him. But as far as, my grandpa was in NASCAR, so I started racing at 8. And literally, we were at Greer Dragway one Saturday night, and I think he flew home from, I think it was Daytona maybe, or I want to say it was Daytona. He flew home and showed up on our trailer door and has not missed a race since, unless he's been sick. There's been a couple here and there, but he's been here every single race for the most part. And I love to have him around. But as far as me getting started in racing, I got roped in at a very young age. Like I said, my dad used to take me to Bristol, Atlanta when I was 2 and 3 years old. I used to, obviously my cousins, Quayne and Mitch, ran Pro Mod for how many ever years. So watching them do that and fast door slammer racing, that was what I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do. And I wanted to drag race from a very early age. And my dad actually took me to Greer Dragway. I was probably 6 or 7. And they had junior dragsters. And he was just kind of trying to feel it out, see if I'd be interested. And I loved it, bit hook, line, and sinker. So he got me a junior dragster when I turned 8. Then when I was 16, we moved up to top dragster and had that car for probably 4 or 5 years. And actually, I think when I was 18 or 19, we built the 67 Mustang. So we were running Top Sportsman, Top Dragster at the same time. And that kind of got too much where, they were really close classes to run together. a lot of work for the two. So we decided to drop the dragster and keep the door car. And now, 2 or 3 years ago, we built the 18 Mustang that we got now, and no signs of slowing down.
Stellar. No signs of slowing down. Well, Dylan, we're going to wind this thing down here in a few moments. Thank you for being on. I count it as a privilege. Again, congratulations to you on the Southern Nationals win. So the little town in North Carolina that you're in, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it, but tell everybody the name of the town and where it is.
All right, so the dealership is in Tryon, North Carolina. We are about probably 30, 45 minutes below Asheville. Really, I'm actually closer to South Carolina than I am Asheville. I'm only like 20 minutes from Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's kind of funny. I tell everybody to get to work every day. I live in North Carolina, but I actually have to drive through South Carolina every day to get to work. We're right on the line, not far at all.
And in that town, you mentioned it earlier, where is the best place to eat?
Side Street Pizza. Can't beat it. If you want some of the best pizza in the South, you've got to try it. Side Street Pizza. Maybe even hopefully after we can win, maybe get another Wally on Sunday, we'll have a different sale. Buy a car, get a pizza. Or
there you buy a
oil
car,
change, get a pizza. Whatever. I don't know if I'm going to have any cars by the time I get back.
Oil change. Man, that's a good combination. How about this? Pizza while you get your oil changed. There we go. Like
That's
you schedule the oil change, and you order your pizza for the next day. You show up, you got the pizza, you're in the waiting room, oil's being changed. Mamma mia. Yes, there we go.
Yeah. I know people. I can make that happen.
I like that. That could be an app. That could be a whole theme. You'd have people changing their oil just to get pizza.
That's true. They probably would.
Oh, well, man, look, I look forward to seeing you there at the track. I'll be down there tomorrow hitting it and getting ready for the national event. Hope you have a great weekend and represent all of us Ford guys extremely well and come away with another Wally. Thank you for being on Between the Slicks. Give you airtime right here at the end to all those that you need to say thank you to, and to whatever you might want to say to your competitors. Take it away.
Man, I just want to thank Jerry Haas Race Cars. They built me a bad hot rod. Philip Oakley at Oakley Motorsports, Adam Lambert, Precision Racing Suspension, Stott's Ford, and all the guys back that keep that place running while we're gone. Let us do this. We couldn't do it without you. Mom, Side Street Pizza. We're going to have to make that whole deal happen. As far as the competitors, I'm coming after y'all. We're going to try and make it 2 for 2. And, man, I appreciate you having me on. Glad to do it.
Thank you, sir. Everybody says they want to hear more from the sportsman ranks, and Between the Slicks is definitely a place to do it because we talk everything drag racing here. Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, man. Have a good one.
There you go, folks. Dylan Stott, winner of the last Southern Nationals in Top Sportsman. Folks, we're winding down this episode of Between the Slicks. Thank you for riding along, but we are definitely in the shutdown area. The chute is out. We might even have broke out in the night with this particular episode. We talked a little bit of everything. I like that, from fuel to fan interaction to new programs. Keep your eye out on Doug Foley. To Top Sportsman, electric. Oh, we talked about the dirty, nasty subject. It's coming, folks. It's coming. Its merits and demerits is a whole nother conversation, but it is coming. Well, don't know who we'll have on the show next week, but please be right here Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Between the Slicks, and definitely tell your drag racing buddies about what happens right here as we talk drag racing and we talk to the people of drag racing, from the biggest names to the names that you haven't yet heard but you should know. Folks, I'm the Monday Morning Racer. I'll be at ZMAX Dragway this weekend. If you see me, say hey. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.